Excellent. So, welcome to this guest speaker presentation. I'm Caitlin Burbney, one of the instructors, and joining me today is Lesley Jones, one of our graduates. So, thank you for joining me, Lesley.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, very welcome. So, for a little background, what was your life like before coming to the school, and what brought you here?
Okay, well, it was a little crazy. I have had been working. I've had so many jobs, I can't keep track. And having children, and I had one son who was special needs, and it was just crazy trying to find a job that actually fit my lifestyle and my scheduling. So yeah, it was just crazy, and I had worked in a call center from home. And we all know what call center jobs are like, and I had gone on 2 medical leave of absences in like maybe 2.5 years because I just couldn't handle. Um, I have anxiety, by the way, so it was just really overwhelming to me, and I just like I can't do this type of work anymore. Um, and I also moved in with my mother, who was 84 at the time.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah, so I was 48, she was 84, and so I had to kind of figure out whether I could continue with a call center job, you know what I mean? Because I didn't want to inconvenience her and tell her to be
Mhm.
quiet, right? So yeah. So did I answer the question?
That definitely covers what brought you here, for sure.
Right. Right.
So, what excited you about taking the course?
Well, basically, as I said, like I was trying to find something to do from home. And I don't know whether there's anybody else in the audience that believes with the law of attraction or whatever, but I am a firm believer. And so one day I was sitting in my office and I said, I was trying to debate whether I was going to try to go back to the call center. But anyway, I just kind of said a little something something, said, okay, what kind of job can I do from home that doesn't deal with people?
Hmm.
And I got medical transcription. And I was like, so I started to research it, and of course, CanScribe was one of the first things that came up, and yeah, so that's kind of got what brought me here.
Wonderful. So, what were some of the reservations you had about going back to school?
Um, well, basically, I mean, I love learning. I've always loved learning, but I don't like, being supervised or being watched, or I'm a recovering perfectionist with OCD. So yeah, it was just basically like I had gone back to college at the age of 40, for 2 years to become an educational assistant for special needs support, and I did really well on that, and that was in person. But it was also like challenging because I was having to be in a social setting, and just perfectionism and OCD. So I really liked the online aspect of it because I've always done better. Like I'm a team player, but I've always but done better when I have my own space to, you know, absorb, review the work. Does that make sense?
Hmm. Absolutely. So, can you talk a little about some of the ups and downs you experienced as a student and how you got through those?
Okay, so of course, my biggest challenge was being a recovering perfectionist with
Mm.
OCDs. And the other thing I have is I don't know what term it would be, is that like if you give me like a table or a chart and you ask me to fill it in, it fries my brain. Like it really freaks me out because
Mm.
I need to like I like to write freely, if you know what I mean. Like I really prefer a blank page.
Mhm.
Um so the speech recognition um was kind of a challenge, the dictations that had the wording on the page, because it was like picking up where somebody else left off.
Mhm.
So that was kind of challenging. And most of the times in school, I would just delete the whole
Mhm.
I would just delete the whole speech. speech recognition and just start from scratch. So that was my way of dealing with that. The ups were basically, not trying to brag here, but I did really, really well, um, with the course. So it was, just kept going, like I do my work and then I'd see my grades and I'd go, woohoo! You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't think I have anything, really downer to say about the course. It's just, you learn something new every day and you just do your best, right?
Mhm. Absolutely.
Oh, and sorry,
Cool.
the instructors support was awesome. Like there were times when I was like crying on the phone. And they were just like, "Okay, just breathe." You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Yeah, you're not alone there. We get plenty of students stressing out because the course doesn't seem like it's going to be as hard as it actually is.
Right.
And it can surprise you.
Right, right. Yeah.
So if you could go back and do it all over again, what would you change?
Well, I would give myself a break and I would try not to be a human sponge. Um, and like I learned probably towards the end of the course that, like I was trying to keep track of everything. I was trying to document everything. I was trying to just remember everything. And like as I say, towards the end of the course, started thinking, you know what, this is too much like information that I'm trying to absorb into my brain. And,
Mhm.
and then you're like, what if I forget? And, the trick of medical transcription is, which I'm going to get into a little bit later, is, what I call your toolbox. Because, it's easier to know where to find things when you need them than it is to try to cram everything into your brain all at once.
Mm. Mhm.
Right. So, yeah, so that's been my biggest um, thing that I would probably change is I would probably, you know, just start building my toolbox earlier.
Mhm. So what would you do exactly the same again?
Have fun. Just like believe in myself. Um, just yeah, I just love learning. Like, you know what I mean? I think that everybody should learn something new every day. And remember your why for doing this course. Like, or anything in life. Like, remember why you're doing what you're doing.
Mhm.
And for mine it was passion. Like I love typing. I've been typing since I was like, well, in high school. I've every job I've had, I've been typing. I'm a touch typist. So that was my passion, helping people. And the biggest draw with the medical transcription was being in service to those who really need me, but from behind the scenes
Mhm.
because of my social anxiety, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, does it make sense?
Yeah, yeah. So you mentioned your empty toolbox, and uh, if you could expand on that and share with our students what that involves.
Absolutely. So on the screen here, you see there's a real life toolbox with your screwdrivers and your whatever's in there. I'm not really a handy person, but my MT toolbox, that's where I really fine tuned what I have it had it in there. So, your browsers. So, what I would recommend you do if you're not already doing it is get your toolbox and your browsers set up. So you would have your CanScribe right now. You'd have your CanScribe tab open, and then you would have your boss and all the other wonderful resources that CanScribe provides you with, and just know where your tabs are. And so that when you're doing the work, you know exactly which tab you need to go to, and you need your control F. Everybody hopefully knows about the control F key, where you can search for anything that you want on any web browser. And like the key thing is to try to get away from pen and paper, or even typing notes into like a word processing. Try to keep everything in your browsers and use the control F key, because time is of the essence, right?
Mhm.
And one of the instructors had told me, if you research something once, put it somewhere. So
Mhm.
you don't, so and the other thing I did use, and I think it's coming up, is I used instant text word expander. So that was it's kind of separate from your toolbox because it's not part of the browsers. But yeah, just collect your information and put if oh sorry if you need to collect something, it's basically like in your word expander. But anything else, just have your tabs open like a filing system and just know
Mhm.
where you got to go. Make sense?
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
and I just want to so when you're a can scribe and you're doing your tests or whatever, um what I did was I had like two CanScribe tabs open. I had the first one was what I used for my resource. So if I was working on a test, a chapter test, I would have the um, chapter test open in a second tab, and I would have my main CanScribe just so I could search with my Control F, and then I would go over and I would answer the question in my second tab. So that's just a tip I tell people.
Mhm. Absolutely. And just while we're here too, do you add those to your startup browsers so that when you open Chrome or Firefox, those are.
Yes, yes. But you know what? I didn't learn how to do that until I was out in the real working world. So,
Mm.
so if you know how to do that now, the sooner the better, right?
Yeah, yeah, because like you said, if you know where everything is, then it saves you time, and having them open the same place all the time can help you locate them.
Right, right. And that's the
Like,
thing is, yeah, and that's the thing is just, think of your web browsers as your toolbox. Like if you can make that connection, it will help you immensely.
hmm
Because you'll know exactly where each tool is, and you want to keep your toolbox organized, right?
hmm
So
absolutely,
it'll help you immensely, and remember your control F key.
for sure. Something that would be nice to use in actual real life toolboxes sometimes.
Right.
So, how did you feel going into your final exam?
Like everybody else, I was scared. Um, as I say, I have test anxiety. I've always had test anxiety. So yeah, I was for every test in life, I get, nervous or whatever.
Mm,
And Um, yeah, I mean, my chapter tests through CanScribe, I did I did really well, and for my pies, I believe I was in the mid 90s.
mm,
Um, yeah, I mean, I graduated with merit. So that was awesome. But as I say, it's all, just test anxiety, right? And
mhm,
as I said, don't worry about cramming your brain full of facts and figures and all that stuff, right? Just know where your toolbox is, know how to use your toolbox, and give yourself time, right? Like,
mhm,
that's the biggest thing that I learned, is that I just had to tell myself, you know what? You know what you're doing. You just need the time and space to do it.
mhm, absolutely. So, did you do anything to celebrate your graduation?
Of course I did. I was actually very, very blessed and lucky. Um, I did my course in a year. I started on February 14th of 2018 and finished February 14th, 2018. Um, and so I had to delay my celebration because I smushed it with my 50th birthday. So, yeah, and by that time I had my job offer.
Yeah.
So, and I was starting the next day after my
Hmm.
50th birthday party. So, it was kind of a triple celebration. It was my we celebrated my graduation from CanScribe, my 50th birthday party, and my acceptance of a job. So yeah, good things come in three, right? And
Absolutely.
there's three of us here.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, that's a great triple threat.
Right, right, right.
So can you share your experience looking for work after graduation?
Absolutely. So after I graduated, I got my list of resources, like employment resources from CanScribe, and I had actually already picked my top. Well, I knew who I wanted to work for sure. Um, so because it was like no scheduling. Um, and
Mhm.
so I think I applied to three companies off the top. And I actually took a 2 week, just like 2 weeks off to just kind of de-stress my brain and everything.
Mm.
And so I applied to my top three, and I got, I went through the testing and stuff like that, and I secured employment with my first choice. And I had been working for them for 4 years right out of graduation,
Amazing.
and loving every moment of it.
When it comes to making that choice, do you have any advice to share for students after graduation?
The advice I give anyone for anything in life is follow your heart. As I say, remember your why and decide what you want, and yeah, just follow your heart. And if something feels really good for you, um yeah, if it checks all the boxes, that's basically, because we can't commit to things we can't commit to. That was my, I always tried to fit in the box most of my life, and you're miserable, right?
Mhm.
And then when I just kind of thought, you know what, um, I can't fit myself in the box anymore. I have to do something I love on a schedule that works for me. So yeah, that's what I would, suggest. Do your research on the companies that are hiring. Think about find out what they want from you. And make sure that you can commit to what they want. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm. Absolutely.
So yeah.
Awesome. So I want to thank you for joining us. We're going to have a little question period, so don't run out yet. But
Oh no, no, I'm here. I'm yours.
and for anyone watching this recording later, if you have any questions, you can feel free to email me at the address on the screen now, or you can always call the college at that phone number. But we're going to open things up for questions to the students here now. You can pop them right into the chat box, and I'll read them out loud to Lesley. And if in the meantime, while you're kind of thinking on things, I always like to ask this question because it's my personal favorite, um, just to hear everyone's different things. What subject did you enjoy the most while you were studying?
Okay, there's two of them actually.
Mm.
Psychiatry
Mhm.
and I think surgery.
Surgery, yeah, that's
Yeah.
a lot of people pull their hair out from all the sort
It
of tools and stuff that you have to
yeah,
get to researching.
it is challenging, but the thing with surgery is that it's the same thing. Like
Mm,
each, like, gallbladder surgery is usually the same steps. You know
hmm.
what I mean? So yeah, that's kind of, it's repetitive. Like
Yeah.
different for each patient, but it's the same, procedure, like steps,
Hmm.
right? So
Yeah,
yeah.
well, I found that when I got working, some of the orthopedic doctors go through surgery so quickly, but fortunately, it's the 12th knee surgery they did that day, so you can look at their history
Right,
and
right,
see that,
exactly.
right? Yeah,
Exactly. So, but yeah.
yeah. So I found that super helpful. On the other side of things, which subject did you have the most difficulty with?
Cardiovascular system.
Hmm.
Just, I don't know what it is, but I just anything to do with like, heart, vessels, blood, whatever, just freaks me out. So, it just, I don't know what, I mean, I don't like blood. Um,
Hmm.
but it just, yeah, that's the challenge. And there's a lot of like heart catheterizations in the real world,
Yep.
at least that I found. Um, so it was just basically just keep breathing, just
Hmm.
keep breathing. It's going to be over soon.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and
So,
fortunately, we're a step removed, so we don't actually have to see any of this. We're,
right, right. Well,
yeah.
yeah, but me, I have a vivid imagination as well. So, yeah,
Oh,
but
yeah.
I mean, but as I say, you get used to it, and then eventually you're not really thinking about, you're just like editing. They're just words, right?
Hmm. Yeah,
So,
well, I say that, but I also am the person who occasionally starts weeping because I get a psych report that I'm like, this is the saddest story I've ever heard. But,
right, right, yeah,
some of them do get
yeah.
on top of you a little.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I used to be a hypochondriac. I used to. And so I was kind of like, I was like, oh man, is this going to trigger my, hypochondriacism or whatever? And I'm like, it hasn't. You
Huh.
know what I mean? And more so, it's kind of educated me because I know my body. Like, things make more sense to me,
Hmm.
right? So it's been more reassuring. Um, and the other thing I'll point out is that geriatrics was also one of my favorite things, and that
Hmm.
follows under the psychiatry part of it. And what I found that beneficial was when my mother, um, had sudden onset of dementia. At the beginning of the pandemic lockdown,
Hmm.
I was more prepared,
Hmm.
to help to advocate for her and myself, right? So I understood what she was kind of going through and how to handle it. So as I say, like, the whole CanScribe experience has been like a blessing for me in many areas of my life.
Yeah, I mean, that knowledge is with you forever, right? So
Right,
if
right,
you, yeah, if you have health problems of your own or family members, that's just even
right,
knowing that you can ask different questions, you can ask about
right,
different treatment options.
right.
Um,
But don't
yeah,
diagnose anyone.
no,
Do not
no.
do that. You could say, maybe you should get your thyroid checked.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Or yeah, maybe ask
Right,
them a bit more
right,
strongly about this. I mean,
right,
the biggest
right,
thing I try and tell people is don't don't like soften or sugarcoat what you're going through. Just tell them exactly what's happening to you and don't say, "Oh, I guess it's not that bad." No, no.
right, right,
Because a
right.
lot of people downplay their symptoms and
Yeah,
yeah, what's happening
yeah.
to them.
Yeah. Well, my doctor, who I'd been with for 40 years, he, like, when I told him I was taking this course or whatever, he's like, wow. He says, you're doing really well at that. He says, because like, your body,
Hmm.
because I've always had a sense, like if something felt off or whatever. And I mean, I hardly ever went to the doctor. Once I got past my hypochondriac in my teens, I stayed away from the doctor unless I had to go.
Hmm.
But yeah, so yeah,
Interesting. So, um, we there's past kind of student questions have kind of revolved around some of the tools you use, and you mentioned you use instant text as of the expander.
right.
Have you tried any typing programs?
Well, I mean, I went online and played, like if you do a Google search or whatever for typing, but as I said, like I've been typing since I was in high
Mm,
school, right?
right.
So, um, I didn't really need any more typing practice.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And the other thing too is I did do the upgrade for the extra
Mm,
transcriptions. So, that kind of helps me out too. If I get, if I want to just type or I just
mm-hmm.
want to, play around, I just go to the upgrade,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean it's
right?
nice because you always have access to that, so you can always go back and use it for
Absolutely.
extra practice if you want.
Absolutely. Yep.
Um, how about headphones? Do you have any favorites for those?
Um, well, I went through a couple Logitechs, and then I just don't really like my whole head, like my whole ears, um, covered. So I
Hmm.
ended up using the Boss in-ear,
Hmm.
which were awesome. The only thing is you have to buy an extension. Well, you don't have to, but I would recommend you buying an extension cord for them because the original cord that's attached to the headphones is quite short.
Hmm.
So, you're kind of like almost kissing your computer screen.
That's funny. I have a pair too that I find maybe it's dependent on the model because I have some that I found pretty good for giving you some length, but those are the noise canceling ones that I have
Right,
that they have
right,
like a little extra box, so that might give a little extra length too.
right.
But
Okay.
but yeah,
Yeah.
those are amazing. Like when I put those in, I feel like I'm going into a sound deprivation tank.
Yeah,
Even
exactly.
just before turning it on, they just plug in so well and fit
Yeah,
the ear so well. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
nice. So did you find any challenges studying from home?
My mother.
Oh no.
No, she was sweet. She's been gone. She passed away in January 2021.
Sorry to hear that.
But yeah, yeah, but it's like again, life lessons, right? My mom and I were like oil and water for most of our lives. And then when we moved in together, we had nowhere to run. And so we resolved a lot. Well, actually, we resolved I think every single issue we'd ever had.
Wow.
We actually resolved because we actually had to sit down and talk.
Mm-hmm.
So but yeah, she would I tried to say to her like, okay, I'm in the office. If the door is closed, you kind of got to leave me alone.
Mm-hmm.
And she was so cute. She would come down, and I maybe it was the dementia kind of coming in, and she would like knock on my door.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, it's like with doing the medical transcription, she wasn't really disturbing me,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because it would be different if I was on the phone at a call center job, and that would be like really anxiety provoking or whatever, right? So, yeah, but other than that, no, I don't think there was, you know, yeah, well, just keeping myself on task.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the thing with independent study. Especially if you don't have outside distractions, um, is you can make your own distractions if you're procrastinating, right? So,
Absolutely. Any
so
advice for staying on task?
um, basically, just don't run yourself ragged. Take breaks as much as you can. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
as I say, it's like I did it within a year. um and some days I spent 12 hours on the course. Other
Mm.
days I spent a couple hours. Yeah, it just listen to your heart, follow your body's leads, and just what, just keep believing in yourself. And just know that you're doing a service for people, like you're telling a story for people who can't advocate or talk on. And I know you're just typing what the doctor's saying, but you're making sure that the reports are done professionally and precisely, and they're going to help the communication overall.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, you're helping the doctor and the patient because you're creating that
Right,
record
right, right.
for sure. So I um have a couple other ones and just for um from past these types of guest speaker webinars from past student questions. Do you have any tips for grammar practice?
Okay. um Well, again, sorry, I'm not laughing. It's just, everybody laughs at grammar.
Mm,
But yeah, just review, the I guess you'd say principles, because medical transcription grammar is a totally different um, creature than regular grammar, and regular grammar drives everybody nuts anyway. So what I think the best thing to do, oh, I know, there's webinars through CanScribe. I think there's like
Mm.
comma trauma part 1, 2, and 3. I watched those. um
And
and
they
I
can be traumatic, those comments.
Yes, yes. And I believe one of the instructors gave me like what I would call a cheat sheet,
Mm.
with examples, you know. But yeah, it's just always do your best and just learn. Like review your what do you call it? I'm just thinking acceptable variations. Like
Mm.
just for your answer keys, that's the word. Yeah, so just review and just make notes and just find your own way of, how to remember.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So did you use the Book of Style when you were working?
Oh, yes.
Mhm.
Yes. Yeah, and the company I transcribed for, they actually gave us, there was a boss too.
Hmm.
So yeah, so that's the thing is when you graduate, don't go out and buy anything extra for your toolbox until you know who you're working for and what they're going to give you,
Mhm.
right? So, but oh yeah, it's, and again, you use your control F and you'll find, everything you need at your fingertips, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I know. Acuity used the Boss too, and I found a PDF version pretty easily online for using with them,
Right,
which
right,
was quite handy.
right. Yep.
Yeah. So, if we're kind of winding down to the end here, if you have any final thoughts to leave people on, but you've given a lot of wonderful tips so far that I hope our students go out and start using.
Yeah. All I like, just the thing that came to me this morning is it's like, don't limit yourself. Like, don't put yourself in that box. Medical transcription is not just medical transcription. Like, it's a skill that you can apply to many areas. Trust me.
Hmm.
Like, and don't let AI. I don't touch AI,
Hmm.
uh, because I just don't trust it. um, it's yeah, so just, you're needed, and I don't think anything will ever replace us. um like really truly replace us, because we're human. And
Hmm.
you know but yeah, just don't limit yourself.
Yeah, well, what I've seen come out of speech recognition is sometimes quite scary. So I think we're pretty far away from replacing humans with that.
Yeah,
And Chat GPT can be a little hallucinatory sometimes. So I'm not too afraid of it doing too much either. It's yeah, it's and these are things that have actually been around in some form or another for such a long time. So
right.
if there's anything to remember, it's that these are people programming programs, not
Yeah,
actual, we're not at Skynet yet. So it's and it seems to be a very long way off from everything. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
but yeah, no, don't limit yourself. That is a wonderful note to end off on, and thank you so much for joining me today.
My
And
pleasure. And thank you to CanScribe for thinking of me.
oh, of course, yeah, you have been a wonderful student, and Lori spoke very highly of you. She, I think had her for your practicum, or did you guys just talk a lot?
We just talked. Well, yeah, she was one of my. The thing is, it's like, I know you're not supposed to have favorites, um, but yeah, like I had favorites. instructors. And yeah, I mean, yeah, so you just get to know, or sometimes you don't even get like an instructor when you call in randomly, right?
Mhm.
But it's like you get to, when you call in as often as I did,
Mhm.
you kind of learn which instructor has a specialty in a different area, or do you mean like
Mhm.
yeah, so um yeah, but don't ever hesitate to call in. Don't think anything is, a silly question or whatever, or if you're having a bad day and you just need a shoulder, call and say, I just need a shoulder.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will just say, as an instructor, it is fine to play favorites. I know that I don't explain things in a way that's always going to gel with everyone else on the planet. So, yeah, like I love the people I work with. So if any of them are your favorite instructors, that is fine by me. They're wonderful people. So
Right.
it's
And, right. And just to say that, when you said that about explaining, I used to do that. Honestly, like I would call in and get like one instructor, and I would ask the question, and if it wasn't like, if I wasn't getting, like, it wasn't absorbing it, I would
Mhm.
like hang up and call call another one.
Yeah,
And
and
then, it's like getting three quotes for something, right? Like,
yeah, yeah. You
you get
just you
yeah,
get different wording, or even sometimes just hearing it over and over will help it to sink
right,
in. What's that
right.
old thing? Everything's been said, but we weren't listening, so we have to say it again.
Right, right, right. And that, on just that breadth up, when you're doing your tests or your pies especially, reread the question until you're 100% sure you know what's being asked of you.
Hmm.
So, yeah, because that was something I got caught on a couple times, is I just read the question thinking I was understanding it.
Yes, and don't add anything that doesn't need to be there. That's something I see a lot of students do, and I know I'm prone to doing myself. If the
Right,
question's asking, is the sky blue? Don't start going, well, sometimes it's all these other colors. Just think to yourself, is it sometimes it would it be more wrong to say that it's not blue, okay? Let's just
right,
go on.
right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, exactly, exactly. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much again. And thank you to the students who joined us now and people watching it later. Yeah, I hope everyone has a lovely rest of your day.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Bye now.
Bye.